Hey guys, Freddy here. Welcome back to another Retro Adventures. The end of another week, the end of another poll. We've got an absolutely triumphant win for The Lost City. Now this is going to be a PDF review, so we're going over to the computer desktop in a wee second to have a look at that. And as usual, I'll be back at the end of the video, some other poll related stuff, and some other channel related stuff. But before I do that, I'd like to take a moment to talk about my Patreons, who this week I've been told know that it's no game, that adventure is more than just a roll of the dice. Now these are wonderful people who make all of this possible, so their efforts are very much appreciated, and I'd like to thank them from the absolute bottom of my heart. Now if you'd like to join them and help support the channel, and I sure wish you would, or you'd like to see these videos a week early, or you'd like to gain access to one of the other levels of patronage we've got, then we've got a Patreon in the description down below. If you check it out, it'd be very much appreciated. But anyway, let's have a look at The Lost City. So, this is The Lost City by Tom Mulvey. It's an adventure for Dungeons & Dragons by TSR, and it came out in 1982. Now, it being by Tom Mulvey is usually a guarantee of quality. He did some amazing stuff back in the day until he sadly passed in the mid-2000s. And this adventure is one that slipped me by. I don't know whether other people are very much aware of it, but to me, I hadn't heard of it. Things like Keep on the Borderlands, Isle of Dread, Against the Giants, all famous adventure series which I was very, very aware of. But this one had passed me by, and I really wasn't aware of it until I read through it because it was winning the poll this week. And I've been very surprised by the quality of the adventure. It's such a modern adventure for being 1982. We've been looking through adventures over the past year or two, from the very beginning of role-playing, and how they started off as very crude. But The Lost City could have been published any time in the last 6 months, because it's laid out like you would expect an adventure to be. This has definitely got the idea of how to present an adventure completely correct by this point. The cover has the descriptive text, so lost in the desert, the only hope for survival lies in a ruined city riding out the sands. Food, water and wealth awaits heroes, adventures inside an ancient pyramid ruled by a strange race of masked beings. So, the idea is that the adventure will kick off with the players crossing a desert. And they are parched, there's been sandstorms, they are going to die. And then they stumble across ruins. The sandstorms blasted them off, and you can see pillars and things sticking out, and the top of a pyramid with an entrance. So the players enter through the top of it, and they will work their way down. Now, as usual, this adventure is formatted with the cardboard cover with maps on the inside, with a paper booklet inside. So if we flick over, we can see the top levels. So we've got side view of the secret door, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, as the players will enter it from the top and start working their way down, looking for supplies, looking for a way of surviving the parching desert. At least they're in some shelter now, but they still are without supplies. The adventure itself, we've got the title page, which is exactly the same as the cover. The module includes a cover folder with maps, descriptive booklet with a ready-made adventure for Dungeons & Dragons basic game. Also includes enough information to continue the adventure beyond level 3, using the Dungeons & Dragons expert game rules. And it does. It provides a lot more. The adventure itself set in the pyramid, but it provides the whole Lost City for extra adventures, and provides some ideas what you might want to do with that as a games master. So there's the setup, the introduction, the scope of the module, talking about what's the level, how it's laid out, and then we've got the background information, which is quite complex. Previous adventures we've looked at from before, they would usually have a paragraph or two, but we've got lots here. So we've got the fall of Sinodicea. Now, this was a city-state, and they had 3 gods. But they created a monster called Zargon. And Zargon started taking over the worship. So people saw this monster which had slaughtered lots of people and started worshipping it. And the praise of the old gods passed away. But they still remain, although they are now just minor factions. So the players enter it and find that this pyramid has Zargon at the base of it, but they'll have to journey through the inhabitants first. And there's the three groups. So there's the Brotherhood of Gorn. Their god Gorn is god of war. The Magi of Usamarigaris, god of healing, messengers, and thieves. And the Warrior Maidens of Madana. The maidens worship Madana, goddess of birth, death, and changing seasons. And the three factions don't get on well with one another, but the players will be able to align with one, or maybe even more if they break into smaller groups, because obviously some of these are aligned with magic users, some of these are aligned with warriors, so the players will be able to affect, depending on their class, one group or more and join up with them. But then they will be able to get supplies off these. Instead of slaughtering them, they'll be able to bargain, they'll be able to do quests within the pyramid to gain the favour and supplies that they need to survive. And we've got the Priests of Zargon of the fourth faction, the people who praise the monster itself, the evil monster Zargon, and control the underground city. So we've got various creatures which roam the pyramid. The key to the map, going through Tier 1, Tier 2, we've got secret rooms, we've got special storerooms, treasure rooms, abandoned priest quarters. We've got the Brotherhood of Gorm you're encountering fairly soon. We've got Tiers 3 and 4, with more encountered creatures. Various passageway symbols. Tier 3, we've got abandoned ceremonial chambers, Chamber of the Magi. Quarters for the Magi of Usamagaris. I'm not going to be able to say these names very easily. The artwork here, for some reason, that made me think of Gary Gygax. I don't imagine he really looked like that in 82, but that looks like the images we would have done of him later. So I can't really remember what he looked like at that period. Did he stay the same for the last 20-so years of his life? Anyway, carrying on, we've got the key to Tier 4, Embalming Room, Councillor's Burial Chamber, King Alexander's Burial Chamber. We go through, we've got Tier 5, as we work our way down the pyramid, hidden guard rooms, main entry chambers, we've got chapels, secret entrance to the underground city, so we can actually get access to the underground city from this level. More abandoned rooms. Then we've got talk about expanding the adventure. So we've got levels 6 to 10. Now these are less detailed because the Moldvay adventures of the period allowed the Games Master a lot of latitude in fleshing things out themselves. So instead of detailing every room, they did allow the Games Masters to put a lot of stuff in for themselves. There's many rooms here. Old food storeroom, this room is empty. Abandoned cleric's quarters, this room is empty. Allowing you to flesh things out. But there's enough there that you can play it straight from the book. And we get right on to room 100, the Lair of Zargon, with a boxed out text description. As I said, this is a fairly modern style of adventure. We've got boxed out text descriptions. We've got the stats for Zargon himself and what goes on, including details about Zargon can regenerate its body as long as its great horn is not destroyed, which is important later on, as that's one of the sort of background quests. Then we've got talk about the underground city, because beneath the pyramid, or around the pyramid rather, the base of it, is a cavern. And that is where this pyramid was originally part, and that's the rest of the city, as we'll see as we come onto a map as we get to the back cover. We've got further adventures, so uniting the people, destroying Zargon's horn, ambush, raid on the temple, prophecy, antidote, the true king, leaving the desert. So we've got different ideas here. We've got some new monsters, including a banshee, the Cynodicians, who are basically humans, but they wear masks. They've lived underground so long that their skin's gone completely white, and they've gained dark vision, so they can see equivalent of about a goblin, I think it says. Got various stats, lycanthrope for a werefox, polymar, glossary of different terms. As usual for the adventures of this period, we've got a bunch of ready-made characters. Level 1. You fast pack, And then we're back to the maps. So we've got Tier 6, Tier 7, Tier 8, 9, and 10. Tier 10 being just room 100. And then we've got the layout. So we've got the pyramid, which is stepped on the top as well as bottom. From level 5, we've got the tunnel coming down and leading to the underground city. We've got a lava pit, which it is where it recommends going to destroy the Horn of Zargon to stop him regenerating. And we've got lower catacombs beneath. On the surface, we've got various ruins. Got a large map for Tier 4. The underground city map, if I flip that round so we can see it a bit better, we can see various buildings, the entrance up the top here where people come in, there's a lake, the Q is the volcanic vent where you'll throw everything, so you have to quest across there. Some pretty cool stuff. A large map of Tier 5 because it's one of the largest ones, and the back cover. So it's a very interesting adventure. There's 100 rooms of adventure to go in there if you just want to play it straight from the book. But then there's all this extra stuff if you want to delve into the background and have the Lost City itself become a feature in your campaign. Somewhere where the players might gain their first few levels, gain power before going on elsewhere to save the world or whatever heroes do. Also, there's quite a lot of role-playing in it. Whereas earlier adventures were very, very linear. You know, you're going in against the giants to fight them and things like that. There's role-playing where you have to interact with various factions and hopefully befriend at least one of them to give yourself a chance of surviving. Or you can just fight your way through, as players often will, and loot what you need from them afterwards. But that'll be very, very dangerous, because your first level character's coming into this. You are very, very low. And there's a lot of fun to be had. I'm surprised that for 38 pages, all of those maps, how fleshed out the adventure is, how much information there is, and how modern in insight it is compared to the adventures of the period. So that was the Lost City, and that won the poll this week with some 35% of the vote, which is no surprise because the last time it was in the poll, it actually lost by only a single vote. And people kept voting for it even though I'd closed that poll off and put a new one. So it ended up, if you look back, you can see it won that poll eventually. But it's won now and we've covered it. In second place was Hot Rods of the Gods for the Ghostbusters role-playing game, which came in on 27%, and at one point it was winning the poll as well, as was Pirates of the Vistula, which came in third, which came in with 25% of the vote. But on the first day, it was leading the poll. So there was a lot of rivalry, the adventures jumped around as people voted for them, but the Lost City won eventually. And way back behind was Tales from the Ether for Space 1889, which came out on only 13%, which is sad, because as you know, I love myself some Games Designers Workshop stuff, especially their early 90s stuff. It was all brilliant. We'll get around to it eventually. Now, all of those are wiped out of the poll, and we're going back to a retro RPG one. But what I realised was, even though I'm recording this in mid-December, because I put the videos up quite a bit ahead, that the poll we're just going into will be for New Year's week, the videos that come out going into 2025. So, last year when I ran that poll, I put in some oddities of role-playing games. We covered the Dallas role-playing game, we covered Bunnies and Burrows, and we covered the Faza, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe role-playing game. So I thought I would go for that again. Unfortunately, some of the games I wanted to cover, the 1970s Flash Gordon and the Monsters of Mongo, I think it's called, I wanted to cover, but I couldn't get my hands on a copy. And there was also a John Carter of Mars role-playing game out in the 70s, and I'd love to have had a look in that as well. But sadly, I couldn't get either of those. So we've gone with some other oddities. First up, we've got HOL, Human Occupied Landfill, which came out from Black Dog Game Factory in 1995. Now, Black Dog is the adult imprint of White Wolf Studios. So this is a more grown-up game. Now, I don't know much about it, but some of the stuff I've read about it is quite funny. So I'd love to have a look through it, and the publishing quality looks absolutely fantastic. Second up, we've got Macho Women with Guns, which came out in 1988. Now, Macho Women with Guns, I don't think you need to say much more about it than the title. It's a fun game. One of my friends in my gaming group has had it for years and thinks the absolute world of it. So I'd love to have a look at that with you. And third up, we've got Maid, the role-playing game. Now, the copy I've got is from 2008. I think the game is from Japan earlier. And in it, you roleplay a maid working for the master of the house. I know not more of it than that. It seems really odd. It seems very, very bizarre, but very, very Japanese. So it'd be kind of fun to have a look through that. And then finally, we've got Og from Firefly Games in 2007. And this is a caveman role-playing game. It comes with a few words of caveman language, and you're role-playing a caveman. So that seems like a lot of fun as well, especially as it has a high pedigree. But if it wins, we'll talk about that then. What else have I been up to? Well, over at DrivethruRPG, I've released a bunch of Christmas adventures. Some for Victorian horror, some for modern horror, one for fantasy and one for cyberpunk. So if you're interested in those at all, you can check those out on DrivethruRPG. There's a link down below. And Patreons, of course, of Librarian and Laird status get access to all of these through a shared Google Drive. So if you're a patron of that, you can go over to Patreon and check it out and get access to absolutely everything. There's about 600 documents up there now. Over on RPG Gamer, well, we're working our way through the Young Jedi Adventures, which are a kids show, and it's fantastically fun. And also I'm reviewing the new episodes of Skeleton Crew as they come out. So we'll have a look at that. But anyway, as usual, I think I've been waffling on for quite long enough, so thank you very much for watching. As always, most of all, you look after yourselves. And I'll catch you later. Bye now.